Thank you for coming. The name of the session is Tracking Sales in an Offline, Digital, and Retail World. And my co-panelists for this are Jill Bezos, who is managing partner of Arts and Sciences out of New York City. Jill has a background in advertising, retail, specifically in toy entertainment, and she has her specialty in merchandising and retail. Secondly is Dawn Dumont, who is a veteran about 15 years in this industry. Dawn has a varied background and is the founder of the Dumont Project, which is a direct marketing consultancy servicing really high-level brand direct clients, many of whom are Fortune 500s. Prior to that, Dawn was a partner in 2 other agencies. I have this. You want to do this? Oh, ow! Keep going. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today are going to take a bit of a departure from exactly what the title implies. One of them is because we decided that one of the things that we thought we'd bring to this group would be some interesting ideas and approaches that we use, that are being used online to drive consumers to retail locations, to not only visit and purchase at the retail locations, but also to buy product. There's some very innovative ideas that we'll be showing you. In addition to that, Jill is going to take the retail aspect from the position of a buyer as opposed to just going into the as seen on TV category and talk about negotiating with buyers, working with them, and in a different sense, doing the optimization through merchandising the product a little better. Some of the things that we're going to go through are the multi-channel retail influencers. The objective of this is to show you how you can provide a seamless experience for the customers from the minute they either see a television commercial, read a print ad, or get an email from you. One of the things we're all finding is you have to have the product available to people the way they want to purchase. They have to have options, and they have to be able to see the product in retail if that's one of the things that they need to make a decision. The brand messaging is also something that we're finding is very important to carry through from online to the retail to the television to print to all types of advertising. Investing in out-of-store marketing. Those of us who are here are all believers in direct marketing, so to tell you it has to be trackable and effective is kind of like preaching to the choir. We're doing a lot more today because we are understanding that when we produce commercials, we need to use extra assets to use on digital, and again, we keep the message consistent. Doing a lot more couponing and rebating to drive people into purchase. And then, of course, we're putting the halo or the umbrella of DRTV across most of the businesses. In-store merchandising vehicles, one of the things that is very important in moving product is the in-store experience. Joe will touch a little bit more on how to merchandise it and displays and things like that. Product and features are going to be critical, point of differentiation in getting the messaging out to people, and making sure that we consistently have the strong value and the same pricing across everything that we do. One of the things that, excuse me, one of the things in direct marketing is we're not really the stepchildren we used to be. Top brands are using direct marketing. They're using multi-channel marketing to sell their products. Retailers are also using integrated media strategies just to improve foot traffic because of the challenge that the online buying poses to them. DRTV continues to be a strong influencer for all points of purchase. Primary advantage is you can reach the right audience at the right time at the right price. In addition to that, the halo effect of the advertising messaging still is a very strong influencer to get the people to buy because television is the #1 influencer for all purchases. Okay. Beyond that, now I'm going to turn it over to Dawn, who's going to talk about flourishing in a digital world and give you some new ideas as to how to approach the market.
Can everybody hear me?
No.
Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yep, that's good.
Okay. Hi. Hi, everyone. So just to kind of preface a few things, what we've learned from a variety of clients and a lot of studies that we're doing inside the Googleplex and inside other digital environments is when you start tracking sales, it really begins with understanding your consumer's shopping behavior. So the shopping behavior is very different by product, by age in terms of the demo you're targeting, and by price tag. And what we've learned specifically is there is people who, when we look at the different universes, the first bucket here of the shop is people that we look at just, can you hear me? This thing keeps going on and off. You'll see that 51% are visiting the store and purchasing right inside the store. And this is tracking actual retail sales of large retailers. And this is all factual data. And then outside of that, there's 45% the research online and then purchase online. This is where the business is moving, though. If you look, that's a year ago. This is where it's at right now, current state. And when you see the current state, there is multi-channel touch to a conversion. And if you're not looking at all of that and trying to tie those together, and a lot of it is studying patterns and large databases, then you'll understand what's happening in the marketplace. And so you'll see the largest group here is people who start their research online and then went to store to purchase. We actually even track the average order value of these customers, and they are the highest next to a tablet researcher that goes into the store. So this is just a large top-line summary of what we've learned about our customers for a variety of clients in studying cross-channel. Next, thank you. The next slide really goes into, well, how do we actually understand what we need to measure to integrate the actual platform? And it isn't just using certain tool sets, but it's tracking all the actions, and all the actions aren't in one beautiful little database. It's a variety of databases that have to be tied together, but it's in-store visits, it's the purchases in store, and not everyone actually has it down to a science, the in-store visits. There's a lot of different motion technologies that are out there. And then checking all the calls, of course, availability of the product, store information, then all what we call micro actions. That's one of the words that we use in online nowadays, tracking all the micro actions. And micro actions are, they're downloading an app, they're looking up a store off their mobile, they're signing up for alerts, they're looking at deals, they're checking in-store availability, and then it's going down the line, setting up an appointment. There's a variety of different things. And then there's m-commerce, we call it mobile commerce. These are the new buzzwords in the digital space. But really just when you tie those all together, it requires multiple sets of data, and then you arrive at what the patterns are. But to be successful in it, you need someone to actually analyze the data. And that's something that a lot of people forget. They just kind of look at it anecdotal. When you tie it together, you'll see a much larger story. So what are the tools, besides methodology, but what are the tool sets that are out there that people use? So when we look at retail POS movement, the tools that we know of course, are the MBSs and the SPS Commerce. These are tools that actually integrate with big box, with grocery, and with your retail outlets. And then from there, that's one set of data. And then we move over to traditional media, which of course MediaTrack would be one that I think everyone in the room has heard of or knows of, which is a tool that Mercury has, proprietary. And then Core and MediaOcean. These are the tools that most agencies use, whether you know it or not. A lot of people may not know that, but what they use. And then moving on down the line, you have all of your QVC and your HSN data, which is another set of data that you have to track and monitor. Then you move on to the next column, which is really looking at web media. There's lots of different tool sets. Web analytics, in terms of Google Analytics, is just one part of that. If you're not looking at your ad serving solution in terms of tracking ads being served up to consumers, which would be like your MediaMind, your LSDMT, you're missing half the picture, which no Google Analytics can track that. And then your last tool set, which is really, to me, the horizon within where we live and where we spend a lot of time, is understanding the overall patterns. So there's business intelligence tools. RJ Metrics, it would be one of them. Convertro is one. Very huge fan of Convertro, got to tell you that. I love that tool. odometry, clear sailing. This is where a lot of the places going with it is. It's tracking multi-touch and it's tracking attribution, understanding where the initial impression came from and where the conversion came from, and giving proper credit to that channel. And they have integrated tool sets across television, print, radio, etc. So that's really when you look at this, it's nice to understand these are the tool sets, but really, it's really at the end of the day, it's about studying the patterns and correlations and having someone actually do that. It's not a perfect world. It's not a perfect science, but this is how we approach it. And this is something that we talk about quite often. Okay.
It's gone.
Actually, fast forward.
Yeah,
fast
that
forward.
should have been gone.
That got out of order.
Yeah. So this is something I thought anyone who's in retail would really appreciate. This is something we've been doing the last 6 months, and it's quite amazing unveiling it today to you guys. So we have some large clients that have lots of retail penetration, and what we're finding is when those consumers purchase in store, 40% of them, as you can see here, 45% of all retailers right now are offering e-receipts. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. It's one of the biggest growth areas of retailing, is sending paperless receipts. It's a huge area of opportunity. You're able to build a database, and you're getting permission, and you're getting opt-in for them to get their receipts sent to them electronically. And then you can, of course, outreach to them and mine the data in terms of a CRM outreach. And so here's an example for Party City, what theirs looks like. And on the bottom, of course, we're trying to opt them into all the different promotions, getting the free shipping, and then, of course, trying to get us to like us on Facebook. But the most important thing is on the right-hand side is when we look at these people, we've been studying them now for quite some time. Again, it's less than a year old. And what we're seeing is that our open rates are double what our open rates are for our e-commerce customers. So we're getting a whole new pack of people that actually are responding that have never actually shopped online. So we studied all the data, and we're capturing an untapped audience, quite frankly. And then what we're also doing, which is, I think is what excites me more than anything else on this area, is that we're remarketing them via displays. So the moment an email is opened, not clicked, they're now cookied, and they're part of our cookie pool for remarketing and retargeting across the entire web universe. So we'll be following you and remarketing to you. There's literally only a handful of people actually doing this, and it's very successful. Next. I thought this was something that you guys would appreciate, and maybe some people are nodding their heads saying, I know this information, but looking at the patterns of, from a digital perspective, right now we're seeing, and this is actually when we spoke last year, I'm looking right at you, we spoke last year, it was about 20% of all traffic is coming through tablet and mobile. Now that number is 30%. Our highest average order value is coming through tablet, and our smallest is coming through desktop, and I'm sorry, mobile. So if you look at the patterns here, which is really important, is the user. This is actual user patterns. And this is a 5-week study that was conducted, and this is an actual Google slide. And what it shows here is that during the daytime in blue, our desktop users, very high usage during the day, very low usage on weekend. That's a no-brainer. Confirms everything we do. And then in terms of mobile and tablet high usage on the weekends, low usage on the weekday. And then in terms of mobile, steady, but of course increased on weekends. So understanding that helps you develop a day part and day of week strategy for how you spend and invest your money in mobile advertising, in tablet, and in desktop. So it actually shifts your investment spend on how you optimize your paid search and you optimize other targeting parameters. This is also another slide that I wasn't sure that people were aware of. And it's really more about holiday and mobile, and everyone knows mobile is growing. But what people don't know is what actually is working. And we're doing lots of experiments. We call them experiments versus tests, but they're the same word. But we're finding that we're having tremendous success in mobile search. And we've been doing it for 2 years now. Just so think of your keyword campaigns, you're buying them in mobile. Same difference, you just have to format it to mobile and make sure you have a mobile experience. And what's new and came out in Q4 that was really quite cool, we did it, is if you look at the 1-800-Flowers ad here in mobile, we now can serve up an actual coupon inside the mobile app. So if they're inside of a Brooks Brothers store and they're looking for something, for example, we're serving up a coupon right there at store or when they're searching out for it. So we're fully covered in that instance. And what's interesting is 70% of smartphone usage is actually happening while they're shopping the store. This is real stats. And then in terms of queries, there is a definite blurring, as everybody knows, when they're in the store. They're actually not finding what they want, so they're searching on their phone. That's what's happening. Next. Okay, there we go. Oh boy, there's a lot of logos here. So this is an interesting thing that we're seeing, and I thought everybody in the room would appreciate it. This is a real stat. It was just released 2 days ago, and it's a study with Hitwise, which is one of the large industry tool sets that we use, as well as Google private data. And what's important to know here, when you're developing your multi-channel campaign and when you're going on TV for the first time, is 1 in every 5 actual clicks from a search result go to either Wikipedia, Amazon, Google, YouTube, or Facebook. So when you're launching, Barry, I'm looking at Barry right now, when you're launching your TV, where are you built out here before you go live on TV? Because you're really not covering yourselves and building out your, as I would call your ecosystem, before you go live on TV. So this is actually critical. And what I think people also are not realizing is 3 months ago, the actual number of searches inside of all over the web, YouTube surpassed Yahoo and Bing. So you need to think of YouTube as the second search engine, and you really need to have a video strategy. We just had a client that we were under the belly of the master brand, and we did the Super Bowl support. Our YouTube videos had more video views than their Super Bowl commercial, because we layered it out right, and we had tons of visibility on YouTube pre, and we built our Facebook presence pre, and that's how we leveraged it. And we leveraged a DRTV commercial, actually. So it was great. But just making sure when you go on for the first time that you have all those environments built out and covered is critical. And Wikipedia, we're talking about a 2-hour write-up you upload and you're done. It's free. So these are not hard things to do. Having an Amazon merchant feed is important. You don't need to give Amazon all of your product, but doing a merchant feed with them. And then the shopping engines, to me, shopping engines are about 17% of the universe, which is really important. People are actually looking for your product and not found through a search engine. So what is your Google PLA strategy? How are you working with Shopzilla, Price Grabbers, Shopping.com? You probably know some of these people, but making sure you're covered there. And those are simple syndicated feeds of your product to these engines, and you're paying like 10 cents a click. It's crazy not to have that covered before you launch on TV. And then really look at where loyalty is going, loyalty in malls, which is, these are pay per performance models. There's hundreds of them, and there's platforms that manage your pay per performance business. But how are you dealing with RetailMeNot, which always likes to live under the belly of some major brands? Always a frustrating thing for direct marketers here. We're working very closely with UPromise, a great partner to work with. They have millions and millions of customers that we can market to on a performance basis. Carterra, et cetera. I mean, doing a lot with Discover, taking our product offers to Discover, and they're serving up all of our offers to their member base. So to me, when you think of how you integrate, one of the most important things is at the most basic level, covering the top row there, and then layering on the other things, and those just are a matter of implementation, and something that I think if you're going to focus on anything online, that's where you go. You don't focus on, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of display ads or rent a bunch of emails. This is how you should approach it. For any retailers, I want to just move on here and this is something that we talked about at this conference last year, is we are able to leverage Google Maps inside of search. So you'll see here on the left-hand side, that's actually a Brooks Brothers paid ad, and below it you'll have the URL, and then you'll have what we call site links, which are all those spring new arrivals, all those links go to specific pages, and then we have it fully mapped. So what we did is we took all the stores, uploaded it, took like 10 minutes, and now when you type in that search term, we own a third of the page just by doing this. So anytime you have a retail partner or a large retail partner, you can just upload all those addresses, and then all of a sudden when you type in any of your SKUs, you're owning more of the landscape, and you're not paying, there's no incremental cost for this, it's free. And again, it's all about dominating that home page and bearing any kind of negative listings and bearing any kind of affiliates on page one. And then the last one here is, and this is something called, it's with Bing, and it's called Raise, R-A-I-S. And really you can upload your commercial through Bing's paid search engine, and you only pay on the click, on the view. And inside of here, this is, we do this for all the clients that actually have TV commercials. And you just upload it. It's like your search campaign, and it's another extension of your brand. And this is just a very easy, these are very easy tactics to execute upon that drive much greater results for and better integration for your TV media. That's all.
Thanks, Dawn. Can I ask a question for you? The RetailMeNot and things like that, what kind of effect are they having on the major retailers now, since they're offering discounts and people are getting them on site?
Well, it's hard to quantify the impact that they're having. It's hard to, but what impact they're having for you as an advertiser, they're stealing share. And they'll the minute they know that you're around, and I'm sure some of you in the room deal with RetailMeNot and the issues around that, they'll SEOize every single one of your SKUs, and they'll steal share from your own brand. So it's really about building your walled garden and building out your Facebook presence and your Wikipedia page and your YouTube page, so they're on page 2, because they're going to be there. It's just where are they giving me the page?
Thank you. Next, Jill is going to talk about the up close and personal part of purchasing, which is at the retail outlets. Jill?
Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit of a Jiminy Cricket here, in that all this data is fabulous, and it comes from genius people, and I don't know about you, but I'm completely overwhelmed. So if I'm completely overwhelmed, there's a buyer that I have to go approach and bring all these numbers to with my one product and all these numbers, and they've got thousands of products. They're going to be overwhelmed. What seems so intuitive to us is not to the buyer on the other end. And if I don't sell this in, it doesn't matter if I sell it through consumer, because I've got to sell it into the buyer first and get it on the shelf. So interestingly, we don't have to throw everything away that we did before, and we don't have to not use the new techniques. There's got to be a fusion. We have to combine these things and serve them up to the buyer in a way that they understand it. And guess what? They have to like it. So some of the traditional things that we still need to do are make prototypes of our products and make planograms and make old-fashioned mock-ups and do everything we can so that when we get in front of that buyer, all these numbers and everything are great and support it, but I've got a great product here, and I need that buyer to really love that product. So I think I'm actually quoting something I saw in a Mercury deck, which was, sell on the emotional level, and then justify and rationalize it with all your numbers and your logic. I guess in that way, you're actually an entertainer. And at least, not just in the kids space that I spend a lot of my time in, but in any space. I don't care if you're selling a hand cream or the softest sock or whatever that is. We're in the entertainment business. Entertain that buyer. Make them love you, make them love your product, and make them think you know that you are really smart. In such a way that you've got now a communication with them that you are the pro and the expert, not only on your product, but in your entire category. These buyers are exhausted. I mean, I don't know if any of you have been in front of a buyer in Bentonville, but they just go from room to room to room, product, all day long. If they find someone that knows what the heck they're talking about in their category, they'd be happy to let you do their job in that category for them. And if you can get to that point, so you're the go-to guy in that category, you are golden. Your product's on the shelf, and now you have to make it work. So Maria talked a little bit about what are some of the things you can do on shelf once you're there. And now in store, it's retail as theater, guys. It's sampling. Who doesn't love to go to Costco and eat lunch? It's trying the product. It's not only try me is actually becoming kind of old hat, but it's the little screens. It's watch the video. It's interactive. It's keep them in the store, engage the customer. It's point of display. It's shelf talkers. I want to walk on the floor and smell something. It's, again, retail as theater. What can I do to make my product stand out big time? We need to just click past that. Okay, now, how do I assess what's going on there? Because I got to report back to that buyer. How do I know what's going on in the store? Well, I've got their numbers, which they hopefully share with you if you've got the right partnership. And I've got Dawn, which is really helpful. And you take all those numbers, and guess what? There's something that this might seem like I'm being a little squishy, but guys, go to the store. Get in a car and go to the store. That sounds really, really plain and vanilla. No one does it. Go to the stores, get a service group, let them go to stores across the country, report back, because guess what? That buyer is not going to a store. That little planogram room that you set up with your product looks nothing like what it looks like when you get to that store. It's very different, and you need to report back, and you need to show that buyer those numbers and show them what's going on in store, so that if there's something going on with your sales, you can quickly justify it, show them what's going on, and explain to them what you're going to do to change it. Remember, that buyer, although the world is changing a little bit in retail, their objectives have not. Their objectives are turns, turns, turns. How am I going to sell more product? So again, in that way, I'm going to use new ways of collecting data, but old ways too. I'm gonna walk to the store. I'm gonna drive to the store. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Now, you've gone to the store, maybe your sales are off, you see why, make changes. What can you do to make changes? You're going to call Maria, you're going to change the media. You're going to change the message in the creative. You're going to revise the creative. You're going to change your offer. Whatever this is, change until you see your sales are going back up again. Make it work. Show your buyer that it's working. And you know what? Just a little aside. There's someone that sits next to the buyer or answers the phone to the buyer, either the assistant buyer, the assistant planner, Management 101. That should be your best friend. Because it's not the buyer that's actually crunching the numbers and looking at everything and making the decisions. It's the guy next to the buyer. Or it's the secretary that's going to get you on that buyer's schedule. Make them your best friend. Oh, and I have here a message. Revisit your strategy. Was it good? And did you call Dawn? So listen, we all just have to really look in the mirror. We love all our children, but some of them need orthodonture. Some of them need a little help, more than others, and we really have to be willing to face the facts and make those changes. Where's my, okay. Okay, now you've done it, you got the product on the shelf, you've kept the product on the shelf, guess what you get to do? You get to do it all over again. You gotta keep changing it up and keep doing it. Change the offer, change what you're doing, and get in front of that buyer again and justify why your product is so important on their shelves, why the world would be flat without you, why your competitors shouldn't replace you because they're looking to do that. Be in defense mode. Be ready to go to war for your product to stay on that shelf. And you know what? You may even have to say to that buyer, you know what, I'm going to pull back, take some of my product off the shelf, keep the space, but reduce the amount that I'm going to give you. And don't be greedy, because that might be the best thing for that buyer to do. And later on, it will definitely pay back. Again, keep reducing their workload, become that go-to guy in their category, review your numbers. They really do want you to do their job. So we really, I think in all of this, you take the data and it's only as good as what we do with it and the strategy that we wrap around it for going forward. So use it wisely, react to it, use the numbers, but don't forget to be human. Buyers are people too. Humans are people too. Consumers are people too. We tend to forget that kind of squishy piece. But what's so nice now is we've got these mediums that allow us to track what's going on. Make sure you don't leave those trackable dollars in your wake. Use them, wrap them up, and get the most bang for your buck.
Well, it looks like we finished a little early, so I would like to open up for questions if anyone has any for Dawn or Jill. No?
Good. We must have
Thank you.
said it all.